Hello everyone, welcome to BoomerangSun, the real talk podcast about adventure travel. I'm your host Alex, and every episode with my expert guests, we share exclusive stories and tips on the most adventurous destinations in the world. Let's dive in. Okay, so how you doing, Jack?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good, excellent. Great to have
Good.
you, by the way.
Let's go.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me, Jack, first of all, because we don't really know that much each other. We met recently. What kind of adventure traveler are you?
So I don't know if I classify myself as a specific type, but uh, I do go overseas just to explore and find new cities and kind of explore around them. But I also do go overseas to paraglide. So I'll take my paraglider overseas and I'll fly. Um, and mostly I've flown in Spain. So that's Algornales, south of Spain, halfway between Malaga and Seville. And so I've flown twice. Is it twice now? Yeah, I think it's twice there. So yeah, so I guess that's adventure.
Yeah, paragliding sounds good, and particularly Spain. I love Spain. What's your approach to traveling? When you travel, what is your way to go about itinerary, or how do you plan things?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, as free and open as possible. So I plan as little as I can get away with. So I was just recently in Croatia, um, and I sort of I booked the flight, of course, and then I sort of booked my first 2 nights stay in Croatia in Dubrovnik, and I was always going to leave Dubrovnik. I just didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know if I was going to go north or northwest to Split, or I was going to go southeast to Montenegro. And so I decided the day before I left Dubrovnik, the city, that I was going to go down to Montenegro. So I like to travel as loosey as I can. So I'll have 2 nights somewhere and then I'll book the next as I go. And then I'll book the travel and just go off and do it.
interesting. And did you actually book the first night before arriving, or did you just arrive
Yeah.
and? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the first 2 nights I usually, or the first night I usually book before getting there. So like, I don't love sort of like arriving in a city that I don't know and then having to find a place to stay. I don't really enjoy that. I kind of like to say, so I'm going to get off the plane. I know exactly where I'm going to go. I put my bags down and then I know I'm going to be there for 2 days. So I can chill the first day and then the second day I kind of have to start worrying about where I'm going to go. A lot of the times, like if you say, well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I say to somebody, look, do you have space here for the night afterwards? They always like, yeah, we do. So I'll just stay the next night, as well, if that's the case. I mean, that's what happened in Montenegro. I kind of just said to them, look, I kind of feel like staying an extra night. Do you have space? And she was like, yeah, sure. So I was like, here's my money for the next night. So so they put me up for the next night after that as well. So it's usually, um, it's usually okay. I
Okay.
guess it depends on where you go and if anybody else is listening to this and thinks, oh, it's going to be okay wherever I go. I was in like Croatia in the off period, so it wasn't on like it's different when it's full of tourists. I'd say maybe book a little bit more than I did, but that's the way I like to do it.
And did you was there like a specific reason you went off season? Is that normally what you go for, or
It was my birthday, so
oh,
I
okay.
decided to leave the country on my birthday and go traveling a little bit. Like I haven't actually been out of the country, not flying for a long time, and so I decided to sort of, I haven't traveled on my own either for a while, and so I decided to go and travel to a new place, new country, um, on my birthday. and that was the reason I went off season.
Cool. Well, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thanks.
When was that again?
2nd of November.
Okay. Yeah, not too far, not too long ago, I
Not too
guess.
long ago, no. No. 48.
Okay.
Holy shit. Like, what?
You're not, I'm not far off from you and vice versa, man. I'm 50, so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I have no idea how this happened. If somebody can explain to me what the deal is here, like that'd be great. Just
Still looking young. So
oh
that's
yeah,
the best part, I guess.
I guess yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me, what was your first real adventure trip? Like you felt there was really a sense of adventure in you.
Well, that would have been uh because I traveled around the world in 7 months about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that now. Um, so I guess that was the first real sort of adventure trip. That was like, packing. You're never going to pack for a full 7 months, but you kind of pack. I packed a small bag. I packed a bag that I could put on the plane. It was only something like 50 centimeters by. It was like a small rucksack. It was the best thing I ever did. Buying a small rucksack to go traveling around the world. You pack probably about a week's worth of underwear and then you just wash them every week. Um, we started up in India, and India was just crazy. India was mad, and then we went north to Nepal, and then Thailand, and all the way around Southeast Asia.
Is it in one go
Yeah. So yeah, it was 7 months on the road.
on the road?
7 months on the move. I came back here for a brief break. Um, uh, I didn't want to, but I had to come back for a funeral, so that was kind of a bit of a break, and then I went back out again,
Mm.
and then I picked up the trip and kept going. So I guess that was the first one. I'm just trying to think if there was anything sort of.
How many countries did you do during those 7 months altogether? Do you remember?
It was more than 10. So
Wow.
it was India, Nepal, Thailand, Malaysia, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. That's 10. And then Chile, Bolivia, and Peru, that's 13. So it's 13 in 7 months.
And
And
you tried to go to Australia, or was it because you said
yeah,
on the
you
road?
can't you,
Yeah.
you, you
Okay.
have to.
Because
There's
you
no.
said on the road, so I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, on the road.
On the road. Okay. 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 Well, still, that is a great performance because I don't think I've ever done more than two or three countries in one go. I usually do more short trips, but anyway, I'd like to do longer ones. I hope I'll get that opportunity at some point. And yeah, I mean, t tell me, was there an experience where, or a situation where you felt like you really pushed yourself to the limit or found yourself a risk? Something
Oh
you,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
of course. I mean, plenty. Um, I mean, plenty. It's not sort of. I mean, we climbed a mountain in Chile, and it wasn't just a mountain; it was a volcano, and it was a volcano in a place called Pucón. And so when you're in a town that's got like a red, amber, and green signaling system for the volcano that you're living next to, you kind of know like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like, you know, so the green lights flashing, you wake up, or not flashing, but the green lights on, you wake up in the morning, green lights still on, you're like, oh, we're all good. Um, and so I think orange was like there's smoke coming out of the mountain, and then red is like full on eruption, run away as fast as you can. But we went hiking up this mountain, and it was ice, covered in ice, and we had full like mountain climbing gear, which they gave us, to go up this hill. So we had crampons on our boots and everything, and we had ice axes and all that type of stuff. And we were hiking up the mountain, and we got to a point where we had to cross an ice bridge.
Mm.
So it was like snow had fallen and compressed and warmed and then iced up overnight again to create this ice bridge, which had bridged two bits of mountain together, and we were walking across this ice bridge. Um, and we got to the other side, and everybody was fine. And then we kept going up the hill, up the mountain, and the guides had to start putting in. Um, they put in their own ice axe, and then they used rope to 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 rope the ice axes together, sort of a path for us to walk up. And one connected her crampons together, and she tripped and she fell, and she started sliding down the mountain,
Wow.
and she kept going, and she kept going, and she kept going, and she was only going quicker as well, so she was speeding down this mountain, and we're all watching her going
That's
like,
end well, or
well,
sorry.
we're all yelling at her, going, use your ice axe, use your ice axe. And she was just flailing her arms around like, oh my God, that's it. Like, and she goes down and she hits like a thing, goes over the edge of this mountain. And then she disappeared off there.
That's
And
it.
we just come from there, and we thought, I thought to myself, isn't that like a cliff edge? Like, I don't know. And her boyfriend was French, and I've never heard a French man yell down the mountain "Mon Dieu" in like for real. And then the Spanish climber guy kind of said, "Don't worry, she's okay. She's just gone. It doesn't drop. It just
Ah,
she's just gone over the edge.
what a relief.
She's fine." And we went down to go get her, and we were walking up this mountain, and I don't know, but 5 minutes later, she just burst into tears. Like, that was it. Like, because the stress and the everything had sort of caught up with her. But I guess that would have been one example, where you kind of you think you're safe and you're hiking with people who you think know what they're doing. And there's a potential that they don't. Or not that they don't, because they did. They knew what they were doing, but we didn't get the training that I think we needed in order to be able to do that level of climbing.
Mm,
Um, because she did slip. She was sliding down the hill, and we had underneath his chest, and he just buried the tip into the ice, and it still took about 20 meters for him to stop completely. So there's skills involved, and we didn't have those. But that was one example. I mean, other examples are like, I mean, being well out of my depth was sort of, flying at 1800 meters above Algodonales. 100 meters is about 5,600 feet. And being up there and kind of just thinking, man, like, this is nuts. Like, this is stupid. Like, oh, what am I doing up here? So yeah. Those. I mean, those amongst many are my go-to examples.
was he not like in a good knot, or was it like where you
Fear.
freaking out and
No, it
thinking,
was fear. It's fear. I'm not even going to hide behind it. It's like, I think a lot of paragliders, they don't admit it, but you do feel fear. It's the fear of heights is the one of the most natural fears that anybody has. And interestingly, I was chatting to I just say I was chatting to ChatGPT about it, and I've spoken to other paragliders and other coaches and other people about it who fly, and I said to them, I get this feeling when I get really high up, and it's fear, that I want to get out of the harness. I want to unhook, stand up, and walk away, which
yes,
is impossible.
yes, yes,
It's impossible. You can't do
yeah,
that
yeah. How,
physically. You can't get out of your harness because you just fall to the ground.
how do you
But
contain it? How do you control that fear then? That
sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. You just got to sort of, you don't do it. Like there's like, don't, like, I'm not saying I get that feeling like I'm going to do it. The feeling is there. Like, I want to
yeah,
get up and walk away,
yeah,
but
but you
I'm
can't.
never
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my life going to actually unhook and step out of the harness.
yes,
You're never going to do that, but the feeling's there. And I spoke to I was chatting to ChatGPT about it. And it says actually it sets me back. It kind of goes, a lot of people feel that. But a lot of people feel it in different ways. And it is the fight, flight, or freeze response. So mine was to flight, to run, and that feeling manifested itself in me wanting to stand up out of the harness and walk away, which again is impossible. But yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, 1800 meters, I'm not hard in that way yet. Like I don't get to that height every weekend flying in the UK. In the UK, you're lucky to break 1,000 meters. You got to. I mean, I know people who do, but I'm not sort of hardened in that way. But yeah, that was an example of.
No, I mean it's interesting because personally I'm scared of heights. When I go really high, even just like on a climb and I go on the edge, like one of those really kind of just a one-off, a standalone stone. Literally you feel that's it. You go one step further, you're gonna go down and you look down and it looks so scary. And I was wondering, like, is there like a secret technique or there's a lot of people tell you just breathe in, breathe out. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Was there like a way for you to kind of make sure that you retain control and that you don't let your mind actually take it over? Because as soon as your mind take over, then you lose control even further.
I mean, one of the things that I mean, when it gets severe, then I do come down out of the sky. I think that's the most sort of poignant thing to kind of do is just to make sure that you stay in control, like you say. It's been a lot less severe recently, so it's not as bad. But if you do feel like you do need to come down out of that,
Yeah.
situation, it's probably a good idea to do so. Do I have techniques? I mean, I'll look up at the wing and just, because it's just a different perspective. You look up and you see something slightly different, so it's a little bit further away from you. Sort of concentrate on, like you say, breathing and sort of just being sort of, I think you're in control. Like you're not falling just yet. You are actually still in control. So I think that's probably the best thing to sort of try and sort of tell yourself is that, I am still in control. We are still, able. But like I say, I don't get to those heights that often, and recently the fear has been a lot less, but it definitely still is something that, it does need to be controlled because you can't go flipping out and freaking out. And luckily in a paraglider, there are things you can do to come down a little bit quicker. And I've felt that you get to a certain height and you just feel a lot safer. It can be, up. I remember once in Wales as well. I was up high, and I think it's just like alone. You're high, but you're in the elements. And you're up and amongst the clouds, and everything's different. The language is different. If you know what I mean. The wind's doing different things as it does in the ground. So it's just different. And like I said, I'm still working on it. But yeah.
When you watch the wing, you know that it's definitely there physically. So you're not on your own basically. You're not up on your own like kind of skydiving. You are with the equipment is still there. That's always a relief.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's, and then also, just being a lot more, I guess, with climbing. I mean, climbing, if you make a mistake because you're not thinking, then that can be the end of it. So I reckon, as a climber, you start to go into the double checking everything, or making sure that you're focusing on what you're doing, because that's what I do in paragliding as well. Is I focus on like what I'm doing. What's the wing doing? What am I doing? Which way am I going? What are my controls like? How am I controlling?
And how long have you been paragliding for? I mean, and how did you learn?
I learned when I went to Lima the last time. So I was traveling for a year and a half, about 6 years ago now. I was traveling through Central South America, and I ended up in Peru, and I thought, I mean, I'd done this paragliding course with the same coach before, and so I was traveling down towards Lima, and I thought, man, what am I going to do? And then as soon as I thought, wow, there's that paragliding course that I didn't finish. That was basically it. I was doing that. And so I went straight to the what they call the Parapuerto, or the paragliding airport, I guess, on the coast. And I found the guy and I said, I'd like to learn. And I just gave him the money right there. And it was like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks learning with him. And then in the next 6 months flying with them as well. So basically just made friends with them and we went flying together. And then at the same time, I was teaching English as a foreign language in Lima for 6 months.
But that is definitely on my list to do as well. Still haven't been there.
Mm.
Unbelievable. And tell me, when you start and you learn, the first time you actually take off and properly paraglide after you know, I guess, the health and safety basics, how high do you go?
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on your conditions. So you you can't keep going up
What
on
about
your
you? Do you
on.
remember your first time? How high did you go?
I mean, my very first time on my own could have been where I'm just thinking my first time could have been on the coast, so it wasn't going to be very high because the coast is very laminar sort of wind. So
Mm,
you've got a cliff head in Lima, and then the wind hits the cliff head and it goes up, and then you fly the wind as it's coming off the cliff. So you're never super, super high. I guess you're high enough. I mean, we were flying next to the Hilton Hotel on the coast of Lima, which is a good 50, 60 stories high.
okay.
So, we were right at the top of that of that building. And I mean that's probably about 100 meters high, or like 60 or 70 or 80 meters high. I'm not quite sure, but I remember looking back at my track logs going, okay, I got to 150 or 100 meters, flying over the coast of Lima. I guess first proper height would have been about 800 meters above sea level, I think it was. So probably about 600 meters above the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That definitely gives me like a good idea what to expect if I try that once. So those were kind of the best experiences or the worst experiences, maybe. What was your best one?
Well, I mean, there were a whole bunch of paragliding days which were amazing. So, you cross from one side to the other, on the mountains in the Atlas. So basically we were flying the foothills of the Atlas Mountains on certain days. So we'd go out to a place called Pachacamac, and which is like kind of in the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. We'd fly there, and there you can do cross country. So cross country is basically where you leave the hill that you've started on, and you fly away and you fly somewhere else. It takes quite a lot of skill to do that in the UK because UK hills are very, very short. So our highest hill is probably about 200 meters that we take off from. And so you've got to fight quite a lot to get up high enough to be able to do cross country, which I haven't been able to do in the UK yet. So, hopefully this next year, because this year's been terrible weather, but next year maybe, yeah. But so there you can fly from one hill to the other, and we just fly around the place and go from one hill, come back, flying around the place, and you kind of land, you have lunch, and then you sit around talking, you know, talking to each other and having a laugh, and then somebody says, "Oh, do you want to go again?" And we all go, "Yeah." And then you just grab your stuff and you throw it in the back of the van, and you just go right up to the hill again, and you take off in the afternoon. It's just such camaraderie and just a whole bunch of people who just are just having the best time. And that was great. But you get these other moments that you get whilst traveling, and for some reason I remember like a moment that I had in Thailand where I was swimming. I think it was off the beach, off the coast, and I can't remember exactly where, but I stayed in I stayed in the water for must have been 6 hours, and the sun
Wow.
was setting. Yeah, I mean the sun was setting in front of us off the coast, and I was just kind of like looking out into the sea, and it was just these gentle waves that were just coming past, and as the sun was setting, you get these deep blue colors and deep blacks and then bright yellows as the sun is kind of setting over the ocean, and it's just a moment of like complete calm, and you don't have to worry about anything because you got a place to stay that night. You're in a completely different place. It's a new experience, and you know, those kinds of moments. They're not sort of made of anything specific. They're just made of, I guess, just a moment that you have, and it's yours.
Yeah, sounds good. Like complete Senna. I was worried you were going to tell me about a story suddenly of a shark appearing, but no, you just on a good front.
You asked about the best moment, not
Yeah,
the
no,
worst.
I know, but I just want to make sure because I thought actually, well, where is he going with this? Is there really something happening? You kept it as a good suspense there, so I just wasn't sure anymore. But yeah, no, good to hear. It all went well. Okay, well, look, it was fascinating, man. It was fascinating, and we just kind of hit the timing. So I'll say thank you very much. Thanks very much
Okay,
for sharing that,
excellent.
and we'll definitely be doing another episode at some point to what probably after a few more trips you've done, just to
Yeah.
see where you at and share some more stories, some more adventure.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of stories going back to traveling around the world and also traveling for 6 months through, Central South America. Like, there's a lot to talk about. India is crazy. Nepal is amazing. Whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jack, and keep well. Thanks
Yeah.
for being on the show, and have a great adventure soon again.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Have a good time.
Cheers. Bye
See
bye.
ya.
¿Listo? Va a salir. Jake.
So I made it from, where did I come from? Up there somewhere. Hiked up there. That's where I left from. About there. Flew all the way down. Landed here. It's my first hike and fly. Fucking result. Merry Christmas from above Lima. Oh, isn't this amazing?